The main problem with war is not that people get killed, it's that people have to live with total uncertainty and craziness, and that's incompatible with what people want.
Tucker Carlson went on the All In podcast. You know the All In podcast. My friend David Sachs is one of the co-hosts over there. And Tucker talked about how Newsom represents the exact type of fascism that we better be watching out for.
I also think that once you decide that, like, hey, let's just go crazy, and you couple that with true social disorder, like you get to a place where you can't buy anything at CVS because it's chained up because shoplifting has been legalized, as it has been in California, what you're going to get is fascism. Because people can't live they can't live with chaos. Like, that's the one thing they can't deal with, and I've covered a couple of wars, and that was my main conclusion. The main problem with war is not that people get killed, it's that people have to live with total uncertainty and craziness, and that's incompatible with what people want. Like, that's the worst thing. You know, we're all going to die. Dying is not the worst thing. The worst thing is living in chaos. And we're starting to live in chaos. And so the return to order is what scares me. I think it'd be very easy. And I do think Gavin Newsom is a fascist. I think he's the kind of person who would have no problem, no hesitation about using the DOJ to imprison his political opponents. Now, Biden is imprisoning his political opponents, but at least they're lying about it. Gavin Newsom is the kind of person to be like, well, yeah, you're a threat to the general order and you're going to jail. And I think because we're in a moment of chaos right now, people kind of want that, actually. I think one of the purposes of degrading and confusing our society is to make way for authoritarianism, even more than we have now. So that kind of freaks me out.
Yeah. All right. Tucker's making a really deep point there. When you see the chaos on our streets, and we're going to get to some of that in just a moment, when you see what's happening in New York City and San Francisco and Portland, and that they can jump the turnstiles, as you know, and they can steal all the stuff from the drugstores, and you can steal a PlayStation 5 and 4 games as long as it's under $900 from Best Buy and all of those things. The chaos, the utter chaos, when they just take over the streets and you can't go over that bridge because we're protesting for a terrorist group across the world and all of those things. The chaos only lasts for so long because people cannot functionally deal with that over time. And eventually you can feel it. Can't you feel it? That they would be glad to usher in an authoritarian society. And I really believe that that's what Gavin Newsom was testing out when he brought Xi Jinping in and he suddenly said, see, I can clean up the streets. I can do it because the communist dictator is here. And look what I could do. And the homeless people magically disappeared and he had his fences up and it was clean and they power washed the shit off the streets and everything else. And then, of course, Xi Jinping leaves, all hell breaks loose again. That's what's happening on the streets again. Because eventually, over time, Tucker's right. People don't ask that much. We don't ask that much. We're so distracted with our phones and video games and whatever the nonsense of the day is. All of modernity has left us kind of inept, right? Like we don't ask for much. We're just kind of blobs out there and we'll just take whatever they give us. But at some point, when your city is endlessly burning and you can't go into stores anymore and all of those things, then you might demand a real authoritarian leader to clean it up.